What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Queen Sugar, season 7, episode 11. So, Ava done rolled up on Betsy, child, and she done told Betsy, listen, all you know what done broke out down in St. Josephine, and we need your help. And she was like, girl, I ain't going back there. And she said, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't that, you know, if it wasn't important. So we find out that she been living her best life out in Seattle. That Amani, aka Parker, she done hung, you know, she done teamed up with her daddy, and she said basically she's turned into somebody I don't even know. Like, I don't know why, you know, that she's so enthralled with Sam Landry, but it is what it is. And Ava lets her know, well, listen, you know, that land that you own, they're using that to, you know, basically they done took, you know, Ralph Angel, you know, Ernest land, and they're using it to try to basically destroy St. Joe's. So we hear the whole story, which I feel like we've heard the story before, but anyway, Sam Landry and Betsy done fell in love. They, you know, fell in love, and they was going to live happily ever after. She got pregnant, and they were supposed to leave town together. They actually went and got married. Now, that's an element of the story that I don't think we knew before, but they actually had went and got married. But when it was time for them to leave town, Sam Landry's daddy beat his tail and told him, you're not going nowhere. If you know, run away with this woman, I'm going to disown you. You're going to be broke. You're going to have to do it on your own. And Sam basically chose the comfortable life, the easy life, over staying with, you know, Betsy and his daughter. But we learned how, you know, they ended up still building a relationship, Parker and the daddy. But they convinced her to come back, child. They convinced her to come back. Now, we find out that Micah is going to start his own NFT. I still don't understand the whole NFT thing, but whatever. He's starting his own collective. And his grandmother is hooking him up with a broker, with somebody. I don't say broker isn't the right term, I guess. But somebody up in New York. So we see Micah up in New York meeting up with somebody named Ray. Well, Ray ends up being a black woman who started her own, I guess, her own collective, and she's going to help finance Micah's. And they have a good conversation and everything, and of course they got to go back to who his mama is, and she said, your mother's a rock star. You know, we found out that Charlie is, the election day is coming up, and Charlie is behind in the polls. But he ends up having a really good conversation with her where he says, listen, you know, I kind of lost my way. I was trying to figure things out, but this is where I want to be. I put together some great people, and we got some great ideas, and we're trying to do some great things. And she was like, you know what? I like you. You seem real cool. Let's put the numbers together and let's make it happen. Later on, we see him hanging out with some more creatives in New York. A couple of them had to let him know, yeah, what you did to your mama wasn't cool. But, you know, glad you know, but your new stuff is really great. The stuff you did after the hurricane was really cool. And glad to see you back amongst your people, basically. So that's Micah, child. We got Micah out the way. Now, while Micah was talking to Ralph Angel let Micah know this whole situation with Chase still ain't sitting right in my spirit. Like, I don't feel right about it. He said, you know, I'm still mad. I'm still angry. I still want to hurt this man. And Micah tells him, listen, it ain't worth it. Look at how far you've come. It's not worth it to do this, you know. And he said, I know, but this is how I feel. And he said, I really feel like we need to talk to Blue. Like, I don't like Blue being up in D.C. and this guy could roll up on him at any time. Like, I just don't like it. So we see Ralph Angel getting ready to give his speech down to the USDA. And him and Darla end up having this conversation. And, you know, Darla does bring up a good point. He was like, so you don't even want him to pay? You don't want him to pay for what he did to you? And Darla was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I understand that this is affecting, like, and she was like, I feel like I've always focused on how this affects me. So I'm going to acknowledge that this affected you as well. But I'm not sure what you want from me, because here's the reality of the situation. Do we want him to acknowledge Blue or not? Because you're mad because he's not acknowledging Blue, because he was talking trash about Blue, and he was, you know, basically acting like Blue was, you know, whatever. But the alternative is that he's interested, he cares, and he wants to be a part of Blue's life. And her thing was, there's no need for us to talk to Blue. Blue knows you're not his biological father, but I don't want Blue to feel like I don't want Blue to connect who he is with what happened to me. Like, he's so much more than that. He's smarter. He's beyond that. And I don't want that to become what his reality is. And Ralph Angel is like, nah, we need to tell Blue. And Darla is like, what? Boy, what? Like, Blue is not ready to handle this. And he was like, Blue is smart. Like, like, he can handle this. And she was like, no, that's not where we are. And so they're not in a good space, right? But we see Ralph Angel show up to give his speech. And the guy from the USDA was like, I was trying to help you people, and this is what you do to me. And we see that, he's kind of in good with the committee. So, of course, that automatically makes, Ralph Angel feel some kind of way about it. He feels real frustrated. Like, my man, Mr. Prosper tells him, listen, don't let that get in your head. Like, don't do it. Don't let that get in your head. Don't let that fester. You're good. Like, you got this. Now we see Nova talking to Mr. Prosper's daughter, and she says everything's cool with her and Dominique. They that they talked it out, they worked things out, but she still feels upset, that she's got to learn how to open up to him more. Well, Prosper's daughter opens up that, her and her man got back together and that she proposed to him. And so Nova was like, oh my goodness, that is so wonderful. Like, I'm going to go see my aunt, I owe her a visit. It's been a long time. I owe her, I'm due a visit, and I'm going to let her, show me how to do the reconnecting ceremony so we can, so that the two of you guys can reconnect and do it spiritually, to the ancestors. And she was like, that would be great. All right, so we get to the hearing, right? And Ralph Angel goes to give his speech, and of course they try to bring up the fact that he was in jail, and they try to disparage him, and they try to blow him off. But there's a senator there. I think she's a state senator. She's on the committee, and she's listening to what Ralph Angel has to say, and she's like, "Oh, whoa, we're not gonna blow past this." Like, he brought documents to show the bias, and he talked about how the woman that lost her farm was only 90 days behind on her mortgage, but the Bordelons and the Landrys they're behind 18 months, and nothing has happened to them. And so she says, nah, you give me all your paperwork, you give me all your documentation, and we're gonna investigate this. So of course the farmers feel good. They feel like they're gonna get a fair shake, which hopefully they will. But I feel like they are, because we're in the kumbaya phase of this show. So I feel like they are. Now, Aunt Vi convinced Betsy to come back to St. Joe. And she said, listen, Aunt Vi, let me tell you something. She said, this is about my daughter. Like, even though I owe you a lot and I owe Ernest a lot, please know that wouldn't have brought me back here. This is all about me trying to keep my daughter away from Landry, or at least her understand what she's gotten herself into. Now, this whole situation confuses me, because I feel like, I understand that they're trying to let us know that she doesn't have the best relationship with her daughter, and Parker's kind of just off doing her own thing. But you don't know that your daughter been wreaking havoc for 2 years down in St. Joe's? Like, you ain't know about none of that? I don't know. This whole moment sort of freaked me out. But anyway, so we get to Landry, and they're having their vote. And before they actually get a chance to have their vote, we see a conversation between Landry and Parker. And I'm trying to figure out how Parker can sit through this stuff with her dad. He's talking about you people, those people. No, he's like, those people. You got to treat those people a certain kind of way. Like, I can't believe they went down there and they got all this paperwork. Like, because, of course, word has gotten back to them about the testimony before the committee. And Parker was like, listen, this has turned out to be way more than what I bargained for. Like, this has turned out to be way more of a project. I thought we was going to come in, swoop in, get this land, make this money, and get out. But this is too much. And he was like, no, we're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. And she was like, maybe we took the wrong tactic. Like, maybe we should have came in nice instead of trying to, you know, like, do dirty. And he was like, nah, with people like this. And you see the look on her face. Like, you see, I feel like you see it's not sitting right in her spirit. But she, again, she's so close to the finish line. It's kind of like, all right, let me just get my money and I'm going to roll out of here. Like, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to get up out of here. So, of course, you know, they have their little, you know, they're getting ready to vote. And Mr. Prosper was like, hold up. I thought there was a part of this where you get to hear from the, you know, the community. And Parker was like, you know what? Go ahead. Do your best. Like, you're not going to change nothing. We about to vote on this. It's going to pass. It's going to be what it's going to be. But, of course, instead of Mr. Prosper speaking, who come walking in the door is Parker Mama. And she was like, Mama, what you doing here? And she was like, I'm here to, you know, like, I'm here to stop you from making a mistake. She was like, first of all, Landry, I don't understand how you're going to sell land that don't belong to you. Well, come to find out, the land belongs to her and Parker because they never got divorced. She got land from her grandmother, but she also got land from Landry as a part of her arrangement after he wouldn't leave town with her. So part of what she got was a monthly stipend, you know, money monthly, but she also got land. And because neither one of them actually filed for divorce, they are still legally married, which means that, I mean, she's still legally connected to a lot of his assets as well. And so she said, listen, I'm not signing off on this deal. So the part of this deal that needs my land ain't gonna happen. And I don't know how y'all gonna work around it and change it up. Now, Landry, you could tell that Landry was more concerned about people finding out he was married to this black woman. You know, because later on, he meets up with her and he gives her the deed to the land free and clear. It's like, listen, I just can't let this get out. So basically, we still are in this space where you would rather give up the land and give up the deal than people know you was married to a black woman? Child. And, you know, of course, her and Parker have this showdown. She even calls Parker Amani. And Parker was like, my name is Parker. I mean, even to the point where Landry had to tell Parker, watch your tone, you talking to your mama. Watch your tone, you are talking to your mama. But baby Parker is not here for it. She was like, so I done lost the deal. And my mama down here embarrassing me. And my daddy done took my mama's side. Like, oh, y'all, this for the birds, okay? Now, while this is going on, Nova went to go visit her aunt. And come to find out the aunt has passed away. And, of course, Nova feels upset. She feels guilty. She feels like she should have been there. She should have done more. And she even feels like she's not honing her gift, you know. Her mom had that gift. Her mother's mother had the gift. The aunt had the gift. And she feels like she has allowed just the world and her day-to-day life interfere with her honing her skill and honing her talent. And she feels really upset by that. You know, she feels guilty as well. You know, she has a level of guilt as well. So we see Ralph Angel and Darla talking again, and I feel like they're having the same argument. They're supposed to be going over Aunt Vi's for dinner, but Darla and the baby don't go. Just Ralph Angel goes, child. Now, we see Nova at the bar with Prosper's daughter, and they're sort of, you know, she's upset about her aunt, you know, and talking to her. And she's telling Nova, listen, girl, it's not too late. You know, maybe you didn't do the best with keeping up with your aunt and letting your aunt, you know, quote unquote, train you. But there are plenty of people who are in your family that have that talent as well that you can tap into. And while they're sitting there, Parker comes into the bar. And immediately Nova is like, hell no. But of course, we know that Prosper's daughter and Parker, they sort of had like a connection. Remember the whole grocery store thing and her telling her to call her man and all of that? And so she says, you know what? That was me last year. You know, that was me in town looking for a place to drown my sorrows. You know, I know what she's going through. And she said, listen, why don't we invite her over? And Nova was like, hell no. She said, okay, well, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to talk to her because she's a person going through a lot and I know what that feels like. So I'm going to go be a friend. So she goes over there to talk to Parker. And Parker, you know, she invites Parker to come and sit with them. She sees Nova sitting there and she was like, hell no. But she says, you know, they talk a little bit, you know, chit chat, yin yang. But then they get to talking about her mom and Landry. And she says, well, do you know why your mother never came back? And she was like, no, she always shuts down. She'll never tell me the story about why she left town and why she never wanted to come back. And Nova actually, well, off camera, Nova actually ends up giving her the story. And back over at Aunt Vi's house, you know, Prosper, Aunt Vi, Betsy, Hollywood, and Ralph Angel are having a great conversation. They're laughing, they're joking, they're reminiscing. You know, we find out that, you know, Betsy had a crush on Ernest, and they used to, you know, and they used to follow Prosper and Ernest around, and, you know, it was just a fun conversation. And then here come Parker, Nova, and Prosper's daughter come walking in the door, which of course blows the whole mood. And she was like, Mama, why you ain't never tell me? Like, why didn't you tell me the situation with my dad? And she said, because I never wanted you to hate him. I never wanted you to carry around the anger and the resentment that I had. So I let you have your relationship with your father, you know, because I didn't want to take away that for you. And she apologized, and they apologized, and Aunt Vi invited her to come, you know, to dinner. And of course, everybody was cool except for, you know, Ralph Angel giving her that side eye, like. But what also happened was Betsy also gave Ralph Angel her land. And she told him, listen, you use this to get your land back. You use this to do whatever you need to do, whether you need to sell it and leverage to whatever you need to do. You use this to get the land back, whatever you need to do, because I owe that, you know, to Ernest. And so basically that's what happened. And we end the episode with Parker and her mama talking, and they all one big happy family at the table, child. So that was it. Talk to y'all later. Peace.